I just want to talk briefly today about 7 types of rest. About 6 months ago, I came across the book by Dr. Saundra Dalton Smith called Sacred Rest. And I thought was just an excellent concept to make people aware of, especially people from complex trauma, that there's different types of rest. And I think why it's so significant is because as I work with people, one of the things that they quickly try to learn in recovery is self-care. And part of self-care is learning to rest. And so they develop ways of self-care. And what they find is it seems to help a little bit, but they still feel quite tired all the time. And part of them just feels exhausted. And so they go, why is this self-care not working? And so really, it's because the self-care is maybe only focusing on one type of rest, and it's not including all the other types of rest. So I want to talk about these 7 types of rest just briefly. But before I do, let me just give you a couple background important concepts that I think are really important to kind of factor into your thinking. So the first is there's different types of energy expenditure. So we usually, when we think of getting tired, we think of getting physically tired. We worked hard, we expended energy physically, that makes us tired. But there's also the expending of emotional energy. So it takes a lot of energy to grieve, to go through therapy where you work on very painful trauma and emotions. It takes a lot of energy to be in conflict, to experience anger, to experience painful emotions, to even experience positive emotions takes energy, to experience empathy takes energy. And so there's an emotional tiredness that comes out of expending emotional energy. And then there's a tiredness that comes out of thinking a lot. We know that the brain uses about 1/3 of the calories a day that we burn. And so the brain requires a lot of energy in order to think. And so if you're in a very intense thinking situation, you end up very tired. So you got physical exertion, emotional exertion, then you got intellectual exertion. But then a person who's in survival mode, who's feeling constant danger, whose stress system is always activated, who's always on guard, who can't fully relax, that takes a lot of energy. That takes constant energy. But there's one other area here that I want you to think about. Do you realize that even doing good things like meeting your 12 needs requires energy? So if you're going to maintain healthy relationships and love and communicate and be authentic and care and nurture, that takes energy. If you're going to build friendships, that takes energy. It's meeting a need. It's very rewarding, but still it takes energy. It can be tiring. If you're going to fulfill your purpose needs, and so you're helping out, you're involved in following up on your passion, that's a very positive thing, but it takes energy. And so what I want you to see is that even doing all the right things takes energy. And so we get tired from even doing the right things. So I hope what you're also seeing here is that if you kind of picture different gas tanks, so you've got a physical exertion gas tank, you got an intellectual exertion gas tank, you got an emotional gas tank, you've got a social gas tank. So we got kind of different sources of the energy that we need, different gas tanks. And so what I think happens for a lot of people is when they do self-care, they fill the physical gas tank back up, but they don't fill the emotional gas tank or the intellectual gas tank. So they feel somewhat rested, but not totally rested or rejuvenated. And so it's realizing that to do healthy self-care, I got to fill all of the gas tanks. And that's what I want to talk about. And so the 7 types of rest that are talked about, and I think it's just important to make the distinctions, is number one, physical rest. So it's rest for your body, but that includes both active and passive forms of rest. So if you think of kind of passive rest, that's where you take a nap, that's where you have a sleep. But it's really important to understand that for sleep to be really rejuvenating, yes, little naps, sketchy sleep is okay, but you need some really deep, good sleep for an extended period of time. But then there's active forms of rest. So getting a massage, doing yoga, stretching, going for a leisurely walk, engaging in a very therapeutic, relaxing hobby. All of those are forms of physical rest. So what are some of the signs that your physical gas tank is getting low, that you're needing the physical type of rest? So you're just constantly tired, you have body aches, and all of a sudden you're relying on caffeine to give you energy because you just don't have it. So those are some of the signs. Then there's mental rest. So you get intellectually exhausted. You need to give your brain a break. It's been thinking too much. You've had information overload, and now you're finding that you are having trouble making decisions because your just brain is so foggy. And so you need short mental breaks where throughout the day you think hard, but then you just get up and walk around. You just take a break, let your brain relax. Some people also find a form of intellectual rest is journaling, where they just kind of dump all of the stuff in their brain out so they don't have to think about it anymore. So any fears, any plans, any decisions that have to be made, just get it all on paper. Then it's kind of dumped from your brain. Then others find daily mindfulness and meditation, taking time to just quiet your brain, taking time to regulate your brain is such an important part of intellectual rest. We also know that a good deep sleep is very important for helping the brain rest. And then for many people, they just need to learn very practical boundaries around turning the notifications off on their phone so that they're not constantly checking their phone, not looking at emails from work in the evening. So you just have boundaries so that you're not constantly entering into a new intellectual endeavor. So what are the signs that maybe you're getting intellectually fatigued? You're having difficulty concentrating. You're forgetting stuff. You feel a bit of a brain fog and have trouble concentrating, making decisions. Those are very important to be aware of. The third is emotional rest. And that's when my emotional gas tank is just exhausted. And so some of the signs of that is that you just feel emotionally numb, or you cry at the drop of a hat, or you get dysregulated emotionally very easily, or you're just feeling robotic, like you're burnt out emotionally. You have nothing there. You've held everything in and you just can't do it anymore. So what you're doing with emotional rest is you're giving yourself permission to be authentic emotionally, to feel your feelings without fear of judgment or burdening others. So how do you gain emotional rest? Number one, you got to be around safe, validating people if you're around people. Secondly, you probably need some therapy or counseling where you can talk about your emotions. You can process your emotions. That helps you resolve some of the emotions so that they're not just building up inside of you. You need to be able to find safe spaces for yourself where you can honestly express your emotions privately. Have a good cry, journal, or Express them with a friend and have just a good talk and cry with a friend. And then you need boundaries around what I would call energy vampires, people that just suck the energy out of you, that just are so needy, are so demanding, that just have a very negative energy that you have to resist. You need boundaries around that. Then there's social rest. And social rest is realizing that you need time with people and to connect with people, but too much time with people can begin to drain you. Or too much time with the wrong people can really drain you. Or any time with toxic people can drain you. And so it's realizing I need a healthy balance and boundaries in my social life so that I get the right alone time, I get the right time with people, and I get time with the right kind of people. And so one of the signs that maybe you need this is that all of a sudden you find yourself with people and feeling very disconnected. You just feel lonely in a crowd, or you don't even want to be with people. You just want to isolate, or you just get irritated when you're with people. Everything annoys you. So that could be a sign that your social gas tank is on empty. So what can you do? Have some alone time. Learn to connect with yourself. Learn to enjoy time with yourself. Learn to enjoy just quiet, solitude, so that you're not constantly being stimulated by people. Learn to have some boundaries around social obligations, because a lot of people feel, oh, I got to do this socially. I got to do this. I'm kind of obligated. It's part of our culture. Learn to be able to say no to some of that stuff. Begin to set boundaries with toxic people. Learn to spend time with friends that energize you, that put life back into you, not drain it from you. And learn to just enjoy in your solitude things that energize you, music and nature and all of that. So that's social rest. Then there's sensory rest. And that's where you think of your five senses just start to feel overloaded. And in our culture today, with all the technology and people just being on the internet and on their phones and TV, there can be this constant barrage that they feel of sensory input. And after a while, that can get overwhelming. That can get exhausting. People end up getting irritable. They then have trouble sleeping. They have eye strain. They get headaches just from the constant sensory overload that's part of our culture today. So what can you do to rest, sensory rest, to give your five senses a break? Turn off your screens. Turn off your notifications. Sit in silence, sit in dim light, spend time outside in nature, reduce the background noise. Some people find getting noise canceling headphones is good, or white noise in the background is helpful to just give them a sensory break. So that is an important part of rest in our culture today. Then there's creative rest. And so that is people who are creative. They can be so creative that all of a sudden they feel in a rut. They're not getting any creative thoughts. They're not getting creative ideas. They just kind of feel stagnant in the creativity department. And often it's because they've overworked in the creativity department. There's just nothing there right now. And it's that gas tank's empty. How do you get motivated again with creativity? How do you get that gas tank filled up? So some of the things that many find helpful is just stop trying to be creative, enjoy other people's creativity. Go and enjoy art, enjoy nature, enjoy music, enjoy anything that's beautiful. That often just refills your tank and re-sparks your own creativity. Just take away all the obligation to be creative and just enjoy fun, enjoy play, enjoy imagination. That often can re-spark creativity. One of the things that many people find is change your surroundings for a little while. Just get out of the house, get out of town, just go out and explore. That can re-spark creativity. So if you're the creative type, then you need to take breaks from creativity. And what you find is often your brain goes to a new level of creativity when you allow it to rest. The final one is what is referred to as spiritual rest. And so all of us live with this deep sense of belonging, purpose, connection, values, beliefs, passions, kind of the very core of what really makes us work. And so people can go through this almost existential crisis where all of a sudden they go, what's my purpose? I don't know what I'm here for. I don't feel any motivation. I don't feel any passion. Life just feels dull. Life feels empty. And it's almost like there's just this spiritual fatigue that takes place. What can they do to refill that gas tank? Many find prayer, meditation, just time to reflect. Time to just enjoy nature, time to be in community with people that have similar passions. Some find going through rituals that are meaningful re-engages that. Some find reading re-engages that. Some find volunteering in things that are very meaningful to them re-engages the passion. So those are all the 7 types of rest. So let me end by just saying this. I want you to see that forms of rest are only meaningful and they only refill the gas tank if 4 conditions are in place. So number 1, you have to be in safety in order to be able to rest. As long as you feel in danger or fear, you're in your sympathetic nervous system. And rest only takes place when you go into your parasympathetic nervous system. So safety is paramount. Secondly, if you look at all of those forms of rest, all of them, the gas tank is refilled when you connect to something healthy. It's almost like that's the gas hose that you're going to put into the gas tank. There's got to be a connection to the gas pump. And the gas pump is something healthy. Nature, beauty, art, people. All of those connection is a key part. But that means I also have to disconnect from what is unhealthy. Disconnect from what is taking energy out of me. Whether it's resting from activity, whether it's toxic people. So what I want you to see, the third component of rest is I got to have boundaries. Boundaries where I disconnect from what is taking energy away. And then fourth, and it's part of this connection, is there has to be a meaningful connection of individuals. And that could be to myself, or to another person where I connect at a deep level. There's deep sharing, deep honesty, deep authenticity. That is a key part of rest. So rest isn't just about stopping activity. Rest is all about connection. Connection to the right people, to yourself, to the right activities, and boundaries or disconnecting from the wrong things. Well, I hope that helps you. Have a great rest of your day.